Okay, cool. Okay, so hey everybody who's watching, and we really like to welcome you guys to today's podcast. So today we have Coach Ant, and Coach Ant is a fitness professional just like most of you guys here, and it's really awesome to have you here, Coach Ant. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm very excited. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done something like this. So I'm very excited to kind of get to learn more about what entails and learn more about yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the whole thing is just we're gonna have a really good chat today, right? Just help to
Yeah,
understand a little
yeah,
bit more about yourself and what makes you different and special as a fitness trainer. Because you've had some intense growth recently, right? There's a lot of things that's been going on in your life. I understand that you've
yes,
recently moved out as well, and then start doing things on your own, having your own place and stuff like that, right? So I know you
right.
talked a little bit about how that has been super impactful for you and how that's changed a lot for you. So we can talk a little bit about that. But yeah, man.
Right.
So to kick this off, the first question I guess we would like to ask you is, what is something that people usually misunderstand about you or don't know enough about you?
Okay, this is a very good question. And as soon as you kind of, presented it, I had something that I instantly thought of. Well, like if you were to just kind of like look at my page and like just scroll through my page, you would think like, man, this guy is he's just like a motivational fuck. Like, he like that's all he talks about. Like, does this guy ever have a bad day? You know what I mean? Because it looks like I'm always, happy go lucky. And in reality, I'm a very happy person, but just like, like yourself and everybody else, that may be listening or watching this, like I go through many of the exact same things, anxiety, depression, sadness, tears, whatever. And I feel like a lot of people think that I'm just like this guy that's like very happy all the time. For the most part, yes, but I do have like a bunch of struggles as well.
Right. So I guess that's the misunderstanding right there, that people think that you're all about motivation and stuff, but you have those ups and downs as well.
Of course, of
Right.
course.
So what makes you like kind of like transition from say when you're feeling when you're in those spaces where you feel like really down and things like that, what do you do like to get yourself back up and get and be all motivated and things like that?
Yeah, of course. So for me, it's just a matter of accepting whatever I'm feeling. And one thing that I've gotten really good about, oh my goodness, my kitten is crying. One of the things I've gotten, I'll have to feed him in a second if that's okay with you.
No problem. My
Um,
cat's walking here as well. So we both got
yeah.
pets. That's something.
One of the things I've gotten really good at is just honestly understanding that no matter what is going on in my life, whether it's amazing, whether it's bad, is that it's going to end at some point, right? Like if I'm going through a very rough patch in my life, I understand that it's only a matter of time before I get back up to, my normal state or to a happier state. So I just kind of allow myself to feel that and experience that because that's again a very normal part of being human. And at least in my eyes, I feel that you need to be able to experience the really low lows to enjoy and appreciate the really high highs. So that's what I would do in that scenario.
Absolutely. That's something I
Yeah.
that's a great thing to point out as well. I think especially when a lot of people start out and they're new, right? They don't think about actually having to go through the lows to be able to get to those highs. I think that's something we often miss out in this whole industry. We're talking about
Yeah.
like making it big, getting to those 10K, 100K months and
Yeah.
stuff like that. We often don't talk about
100%.
this, right? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely love that, man. So I guess in
Yeah.
that case, what do you feel inspires you to be your best?
Okay. So this may sound like a little it's like a very big goal of mine, man. And honestly, this is kind of the reason why I live the way I do and why I will continue to do what I do no matter what. And it's because I truthfully believe that I can change the world on like a massive, massive, massive scale. And what that way is and how I'm gonna do that, I feel like I'm still figuring out. I have a lot of time left, but that doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it. It's always just kind of in the back of my mind, like, what's the next big thing I can do? I started with just helping people with fitness. That's one way where I can start impacting the world in a positive way. Another one was starting a podcast where maybe few people can listen, take some value, apply that into their lives. It's going to translate into more people, pass it on sort of thing. And now it's just like, okay, I got to get really good at these, continue doing these, and then continue to expand and grow as a person myself so that I can feel comfortable giving back to the world. And that's what kind of keeps me going is just like knowing like, dude, if you don't fucking quit, you can make whatever you want to happen, you know?
Right, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
that's really powerful, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So you talked about how fitness is kind of like the start point for you. This is where you kind of like started, right? And
Right.
you feel like you could do much more things as well, starting the podcast and stuff like that, right? So did all these things kind of like come to you, or was it like a progress kind of like did you figure this along the road?
That's a very good question. So, fitness coaching, I always knew I wanted to do when I started my fitness journey, just because I found the idea of, to give you some context, I never felt I could ever see myself working a just 9 to 5 forever,
Mhm.
just going to college, getting a degree, and then getting a job, working like that never in my heart made me happy. It did the opposite. It made me sad. So, one thing that I always had in the back of my mind when I started my fitness journey was like, I would love to own my own bit and coach people someday. Like, I love the idea of being able to work for myself and still help others. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where that came from. And then the more I dived into this, I started to understand that, wow, you can really, as humans, we can really impact the world and make like a massive difference. So, what's another way that I can do that? What's a way that I can reach more people? And that's when the podcast idea started coming in, where it's like, I know off the ground it's going to be extremely slow, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm prepared to see it all the way through to the end because I understand it takes time, right?
Very
But I
nice.
know that if it gets to a point where it's, and would you like for me to call you AJ, or
Sure. Yeah.
is that
Age.
okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if it gets to a point, AJ, where it's like on a massive scale, one person listens to that, they tell the next person about it, they get value from it. That's another way of, again, making the world a better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Uh, that's pretty cool, man. Um, you mentioned you were into this for you're okay if this takes a little longer, right? That's very
Yeah,
interesting,
of
right? Because
course.
just the place you're at right now, do you feel like you're comfortable waiting out the game, or once again did this revelation kind of come to you along the road, or was it like I'm right off the bat I'm ready to get this going right from the start, and I'm okay to wait the long game and play the long game this way?
As far as like my business or the podcast sort of thing
I guess in general everything basically.
in general, it kind of, I would say this, I was prepared since I was new to business. I didn't understand business is not by like thinking I'm going to start a business, but doing it. You know what I mean? So the opportunity kind of presented itself when I had a friend of mine who runs his own business. He's like, "Hey, if you know, I'll help you start your business up as long as you do what like I ask you to do." And that was like in the weirdest time in my life, January of 2021 or 2022, I'm sorry. I was just like, it was just a golden opportunity. I was like, of course, I would love to learn, and when I just on a whim, you know what I mean?
Fantastic. Are you still in contact
Yeah.
with this person today? Is he like still like
Yeah.
guiding you along the way and that kind of stuff?
Not anymore. So he helped me for about the first 3 months. And yes, we're still in contact. I see him at the gym every now and then. We always have good conversations. He's a very insightful guy, and I've learned a lot from him, which is why I appreciate his help to an endless amount. I wouldn't be here if I never started with him, right? But I also have a friend of mine who is a mentor, and I have a very personal and close relationship with him. So he's also been the one over the course, I would say, of the last 8 to 7 months, who has kind of shown me the ropes as far as business stuff, client things,
Right.
along those lines.
Absolutely. And yeah, I guess it's really important to have somebody guide you there, right? Was he also the
Yes.
person who kind of like got, I mean, you mentioned you're not into the whole 9 to 5 thing. I'm pretty sure that like 90% of the people who are watching this or listening to this, they would feel the same way as well, right? I'm really not into the whole 9 to 5.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to screw my boss, say I quit or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah, right.
getting end up running our own businesses and stuff like that, right?
Of
So
course.
was this guy like influential to you in a sense that was he kind of like the one who made the transition into doing business?
Yes, and I think it's just because at at my age, I'm 21, and at the time I was 20, and I had never understood that you can start a business whenever. See, I was never really educated on how businesses work, but I would see people because I used to work at the gym where he and I met. And like I would see people come in whenever they wanted. I knew they'd be coaches because I'd follow them on social media, and they just talk about how they made so much money, this and that. And in my head, I'm like, how do you do that? Like I had no clue. So kind of seeing him, getting to meet him, and him showing me, it says in a sense, he opened my eyes to what is really possible if you learn how to do things, if you decide to make the jump. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah, I would say he was pretty influential.
Gotcha. Uh, what was the desire like for you, man? Like when you wanted to do this, looking at people coming in whatever time they wanted to, having that time freedom thing going on. Like what did that like instill in you, inspire in you? What was that feeling that made you want to like, I want that too?
I think it's just because, like I said, I never really enjoyed the 9 to 5 thing. So I almost felt like whenever I would see them do it, it's kind of as if you're grounded in like recess or something. Like your friends are all playing recess, they're outside playing, yeah, and you're just in the classroom, just sitting there, like watching them through the window. That's exactly what I felt like. So it was kind of like I want to be able to play too.
Right.
Like I know I can have fun, and I want to have fun, sort of thing.
And that's an amazing analogy, man. Like
Thank
stuck
you.
there in the class where everyone's out having fun, right? I
Yeah,
think honestly, I think that's what it feels like as well. Like when I started this as well, I felt really left out, right? These guys are like living their best lives. Why can't I do that too? And that's kind of like how it
exactly.
started, right? Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's a really good
Yeah.
analogy. We should use that
Thank you.
next
Thank
time,
you.
right?
Thank you.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so in this journey, like I'm sure you put together like many different offers and stuff like that, right?
Right.
How did that come about for you? Did you just go ahead like I'm gonna try through this? I'm not gonna do any market research. I'm just gonna jump right in and then figure out that clients want weight loss and muscle gain and like how did that happen and what does your program look like now?
Okay, so when I first started, well, actually, yeah, so I started my business in March 2022, but I want to say in around August of 2020, I had announced that I was like coaching people, but like keep in mind, AJ, that I had no experience with like
Right.
marketing. Like I was like, I'm gonna announce coaching and I'm gonna get 100 clients, right? Like, and then I had posted a poll, like one person voted that they wanted coaching. I was like, yes, like this is an opportunity. And I was charging like very, very low prices, 50 US dollars
Mm-hmm.
when I first started for a month. And then when I kind of met, the first person that helped me start my business, he's like, okay, to start off, you're raising your prices to 200 and 250. And in my head, I'm like, what? Like
What?
people, yeah, I'm like, people would pay me that much? And it was like, there's no way, right? So comparing that to where I am now, and I've raised my pricing since then because now I've gotten more clientele, I've gotten a lot more experience. I'm a lot way more confident in the value I can bring to somebody's life. So I feel like the more you grow as a person, the more you also feel like your business grows and allows
Right.
you to increase your value.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had no experience with no CTA. I didn't know what a copywritten post was. I was like, copywriting, isn't that like when you copy someone's, essay or something? I was very
Right.
uninformed. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. No, honestly, I feel like at the age you're at, you're 21, right? You mentioned, and the
Yes.
kind of like jump that you made at your age is incredible, and I think it's like the perfect time to
Thank
do
you.
it, regardless, right? Because I suppose this is the point where you have the freedom to
As
make
many mistakes. Yep.
yes a couple of wrong turns here and there, and then kind of like learn. And I think by the time maybe a decade from now, right, you'll be like living the best absolute life that you can. So that's
I
one.
really
But yeah, so you didn't you kind of just went in, right? $50 just charging right off the bat. Uh, what do you think of? And I guess the reason you did that was because you wanted to kind of like feel the ground a little bit, get some experience in. What are your thoughts on trainers who give their services for free at the start?
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think I wish I started that way. I wish I started doing things for free until I got really good at it and was able to, in a sense, on the other side of things, charge a little bit more right out of the gate because I had so much experience. But since it was my very first thing, and I wouldn't say I was a complete beginner, I had a very solid understanding and still do of like how to help somebody get in shape. I just didn't understand
The
how to
business as
coach somebody.
right, right. Okay.
That and how to coach somebody. Like if a client is struggling mentally, back then I wouldn't know like, hey, like what's going on. It would be more so just black and white, like, oh, they're not following their X plan or X training routine or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. So the difference there was working with people as opposed to actually knowing the technical knowledge of fitness itself. And this is the distinction for you,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Absolutely.
So
That's wonderful. So why do you feel like you would have if you had a chance you would do it for free instead at the start?
I would do it for free because I would have liked to gain more experience in working with actual people, having a better understanding. And I feel like that way I could have, in a sense, avoided a lot of imposter syndrome that I dealt with at the very beginning of starting my business. Because for about, and even very subtly now, it's very subtle now, but at the beginning of when I started my business, since I didn't have testimonials, since I didn't have client results that I could show, except, myself and my girlfriend who I was coaching at the time. Besides that, I felt like an imposter, like I wasn't a real coach,
Right.
So that's why I think I would have done it for free. And I think it's also a great way to provide value and to build rapport and trust with people.
Okay, so that's interesting, right? Most people don't talk about how to deal with imposter syndrome in a way that you're talking about here, which is to actually give it up for free, so you don't feel like um you are kind of like not worth whatever they're paying to you and things like that, right? Yeah, so that's a very
Right.
interesting approach. I kind of like that as well. Awesome,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you.
Do you feel like was there a particular like client that was impacted by your services in a way that you didn't expect?
Um, Honestly, I would say more than one. And this is what helped tremendously with my imposter syndrome. So I've gotten, it's actually my brother's wife. She was at a point in her life, and I won't go into detail because this is her stuff to share.
Absolutely, for sure.
But she was at a point in her life where she was struggling. And to see how far she has come in her life and the decisions that she has made to put her interests first, leaving a career that made her extremely, gave her difficult, gave her a hard time, to having to trust in the fact that there is something better out there for her, even if it's difficult to initially make that decision to leave what's not best for you because you think it's the only thing available to you. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
kind of like if you're in a toxic relationship, you don't want to leave because you're like, what if I never get another girlfriend? What if
Mm.
I never do this? If I never find another partner, right? So seeing her kind of be influenced by everything that I was talking to her about, processing emotions, helping her understand that if she did make the choice, her life would be better for it eventually. She made the choice on her own to leave that career. And for a while, the struggle was always there. And I was very upfront with that about that with her. I was like, there's going to be struggle, but you have to believe that there is something coming for you. And it came. And then just seeing how happy she was, how happy she is now, how grateful she is now, it just kind of put into perspective how much you can affect the person with just like your words and just by caring. So I think that's the number one that comes to my head. And obviously another thing is just I had an actual meetup because some of my clients are local. I did like a meetup where I had everybody just come to a restaurant. We had some burgers, fries. Kind of ironic that it's like a fitness thing, but it's one thing I teach is like balance, not having to freak out about that sort of stuff, right? So we all got together and just seeing everybody talk to each other. I wasn't holding up the microphone or talking the whole time. They were just interacting like people, laughing, cracking jokes. And that just, I was like, this was literally just an idea in here. And like you can act upon it and make it a reality. So I think that's what I would have to say to that.
Amazing, man.
Thank you.
Just that mindset thing that you implanted for her, and then it transformed the rest of her life, right?
Yeah.
And that's amazing, man. So I'm pretty sure
Thank you.
yeah, I wouldn't expect that you expected it, right, to happen, her leaving her
Right.
job and stuff like that. So
Right.
like where is she now? How's she doing? And is she's in a much better place?
100%. She's a lot happier. she's a lot happier. She's a lot better off financially. She's in a work environment where they respect her, where they treat her as like an equal. There's no problems. And even in her own personal life outside of that, like with her family, I feel like she's a lot happier there, better relationships, even with me, because growing up, like I said, she's my brother's wife. Growing up, we didn't have a good relationship because I was in my room all day playing video games, eating McDonald's, like I was just that kid growing up. So like seeing how things can change in just like a matter of a few years when you really start to get to learn and understand a person, have really made me appreciate my relationship with every single one of my clients so much. And especially with her, because again, she's not only a client, but a family member. So that
Right.
just, again,
Yeah.
brought us together.
Yeah, I think that's even doubly amazing because we have a lot of like baggage and stuff when it comes to family members, and like you mentioned, you weren't that close growing up in particular, so there's still a
Right.
lot of that. But the fact that you're still able to impact this level of change for somebody who's this close to you, and at that level, that's pretty amazing, man.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that, AJ.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think it was the same for me as well. Like when I first started my fitness journey, the changes were profound, and it wasn't just physical, right? It was what transformed inside that made me make a lot of decisions I came up with, and it's definitely a significant part of who I am. So I guess I could absolutely relate to that, and this is also why I think fitness professionals are like a godsend. They're very important in this world because precisely
Yeah.
because of this, right? When your physical body changes and the mindset changes that accompany that, these translate into so many different things, and it kind of like segues into many different parts of our lives.
Yeah. You're 100% right. 100% right. 1,000% right. That's just how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also sounds like that transformation happened for you internally, right? And you were able to transmit that to other people as well, and to her especially,
Of
right? You
course.
yeah.
Of course.
And yeah, absolutely. So I think that that's something I suppose those of you who are watching and listening, you can take away as well, is that that transformation comes from inside of you, and then you kind of transmit that to other people as well. So I do you think this would help with imposter syndrome if people talked about a little bit about their own transformations and how they've grown and stuff like that? Do you think that would help with imposter syndrome?
I think on a significant level, yes, but I think there's also the part where it's if you don't have experience within a business, then I feel like there will still be some of that lingering. So you can address as much as it of it as you want within the physical side of things, but you also must address like the mental side of things. And that's if I understood your question correctly, but I could
Right,
be
right. Yeah, absolutely.
misinterpreting that.
No, absolutely. So what
Okay.
you're saying is, when it comes to the business side of things, just doing this free and that kind of stuff still absolutely helps because you're kind of like learning the ropes along there, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
wonderful, wonderful. So on that note, right? What do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned so far running your business?
Having no expectations. Oh man,
Hey,
let me, yeah. And if you don't mind, I'll go into exactly why. If that is that okay with you? Okay,
absolutely,
thank you.
absolutely. That's why this question was, yeah, yeah.
So I want to say about 5, 6, 7 months ago. It was relatively new when I had just started my business. I used to place expectations whenever I would get on a sales call or a consultation video, which is just another way of a version of a sales call that I do. I used to place expectations on if I did the consultation really well, like there's no way this client doesn't sign. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a particular instance with one of my client. Well, he's not a client, but a potential client where he was interested in the program, and he was just like 5-star client, very disciplined, very motivated. He's like, I can't wait to join. Like, it's gonna be the best thing ever. He was already calling me coach. So I filmed the consultation, like confidently, like excited. And then he ended up saying no, like he didn't want to join. And that I remember the moment where I was at. I was in a grocery store, HEB, and like I got the text message and like my heart just dropped because I was expecting to sign a client that day. I was expecting to make more money that day. I was expecting
Right.
to save another life, right? And I was just so disappointed, and I got very hard on myself. I was like, why? What went wrong? What did you do? Like And ever since that day, I understood that things may never go as you expect. So I'd rather just have no expectations and just do my very best. Take everything like one moment at a time. And that's just made me so much happier in my business.
Okay, absolutely. Um, yeah, having no expectations. I think a lot of people come from, particularly if they're just starting out, right? We expect, like, we've seen so many people do this before, so why shouldn't it work for us? So we do it a certain way, we follow certain steps, we follow certain SOPs and stuff like that, and we expect to get a sale. Especially when it comes to sales, sales is not always so straightforward, isn't it? It's not black and
Right.
white. Just because you do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna get that. So managing
Exactly.
expectations is a big part of running a business that most people don't talk about as well, right? So
Right.
so do you feel like this has transformed your way, the way you approach sales calls as well?
I do. So now whenever I approach a sales call, it's less thinking about am I doing everything right and more so just genuinely feeling the person, like understanding how can I help this person and not so focused on, we have scripts, we have this and that and things like that. Shifting the focus away from that, obviously still keeping it in the back of your mind. But if a conversation goes another way where I can help, then I will gladly do so.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so you mentioned something there about focusing on feeling the person instead of trying to get to a certain objective, I guess. Um, yeah, so that would be like focusing on properly diagnosing and accurately diagnosing the issue there and trying to help this person instead of trying to like move them into a certain direction, right? That was a difference for you.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, perfect. I think that's something I like to talk about as well, about how we should actually during our sales calls anyway, we should be focusing on accurate diagnosis as opposed to trying to get the sale, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all the scripts, right, they always go down this way. But I think like if your framework or your scripts they're not focused on diagnosing the issue, then it's probably not the most helpful script in the world, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely. I think we're aligned there as well.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think it's just beneficial for both parties. Like for example, if I know someone isn't going to be a good fit or isn't someone I would potentially like to work with, then I would rather refer them to someone that can help them in their if they have a specific problem that I don't know anything about, I'd rather refer them than try to figure things out and like completely make everything go wrong.
Why is that?
I feel like, see, there's the other side of me where it's like I would love the experience. And there have been times where I've learned so much by doing this. But at the end of the day, put the person's best interest at mind. What do they need? How can I help them get there? And if I can help them get there by sending them to person X, Y, or Z, then that's the way I can help them.
Very nice. Yeah. Absolutely love how you're so focused on like actually helping the person instead of trying to make a sale and stuff like that. So fantastic. And I think
Thank
this is
you.
something a lot of business owners don't, or fitness professionals, we don't learn until it's really late, right? It start with it's always just trying to get as many clients as possible. But sometimes
100%.
the wrong client kind of ruins everything, right? It drop every spoil everything for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's always about choosing the
It'll
right
it'll make
clients.
give you headaches.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So I've had my fair share of quote unquote wrong clients in that sense as well.
Yeah.
Clients who weren't the best fit. So it's just something you gotta learn. I'm a bit stubborn myself, so I don't like to like, come on, I can do this. Just screw whatever
Of
people say.
course, of
Just
course.
try it out,
Yeah.
right? And then I
Yeah.
learn that as well. But yeah, so yeah, choosing the right clients is super important, and finding people who are right fit is super important. Do you think that this is something people, fitness professionals should do even at the start, or is this something you feel like they gotta learn through experience?
I think no, I think they definitely need to experience it. And which is why I said there's the other part of me where I'm willing to take them on regardless. So I get that experience. If I never work with a person that has this issue, how do I know if I can help them or not? I feel like it almost be doing them injustice because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you're still going to help them. And I've heard, do you know Jordan Sayat?
No, I actually don't, never
No,
heard.
he's a very popular fitness coach here in the US. And I remember this quote. Again, this was way before I started my business, but I was like watching YouTube and he said this and it like stuck. It's like you giving somebody help and not knowing as much about it is better than them not getting any help at all. So like them making a 1% improvement on their life is better than them staying the same or potentially getting worse. And that was a reason why even now I still have to think about it sometimes. Is this something I want to try to learn through, or do I need to refer this person to someone that can help them for a fact?
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's something that's an interesting mindset to have as well. Just that marginal improvement makes a difference.
Right.
Gotcha. Fantastic, man.
Thank you.
So I'm curious if you had we talked a lot quite a bit on like where you started and then versus now, and a lot of the mindset shifts and this kind of stuff that's happened and how you do things differently now as opposed to how you did it back then, right? So
Right.
if you were to go back and like if you had to start this all over again from scratch, right? As some people do, right? What would you do differently?
If I had to start my business from scratch, I would definitely take clients on for free, build up testimonials, build up proof, give myself the confidence I know what I'm doing. Now I have marketing tools. Okay, these are the people I've worked with. I have this, and this to say, so I know for a fact I can help you. And then as far as the side of things for me, I would have done so much more mindset work and deep diving into my inner self, my thoughts, all my negative things, all my negative thoughts, and try to understand where they stem from. Why do I feel this way? Which is a big thing I do now. Like I said earlier, I kind of let myself really feel the emotions and try to understand why and where they come from so I can address and or avoid situations that make me feel this way. So I not that I wish, because I never regret anything in my life. I feel like everything happens the way it should. But if I could, I would do a lot more mindset work, a lot more reading, a lot more meditation, journaling, things that are good for my soul, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Okay. Gotcha. So
Thank you.
you would do two things basically. You would start off the free route so that you can get like confidence in and learn the ropes of the trade and figure out how to navigate the space, right? And the second thing is you would do a lot of internal mindset shifts and mindset work to basically work on your own negatives and things like that. Did I get that right?
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Very interesting. Uh, so if a lot of people, if let's say you were back then, right? If you had started it for free, right? You're not getting any income in right during that period, and I'm
Right.
sure a lot of people face this as well. I think one of the major questions or when people think about whether they should do it for free is whether or not they can actually afford to do it for free, right? So
Mhm.
what would you like kind of advice there when it comes to people who are facing this?
I would say trust yourself. Like if you know that you can get help somebody get in shape or at least get better than where they are now, then trust your instinct. If you want to do it for free, then by all means do it for free. But if you want to start making some money, then start making some money. Like at the end of the day, you want to take care of yourself as well. And by that choice, and if you start charging right out the gate, you're more likely to get client
Exhausted.
like look the more yeah clients that actually do what you say, right? So for example, if you give somebody something for free, they're a lot less likely to value it versus a person that's paying three four $500 for it. That's just the way it works. So I don't feel like either one of those is the right or wrong. I think it's just dependent on the individual situation. Like in my situation, I wanted to work with better clients, so I started charging right out the gate. And then I also wanted to start making income so I could leave my job, my full-time job, part-time job, whatever I was doing at the time. So I wanted to start building that. But on the other side of things, if you are comfortable with where you're at, if you kind of like your other job and you want to start doing this to gather ammunition in a sense to make this one big transition, then that's also a viable option, I feel like.
Is that what you would have done? Like stay at your job longer and then do something for free?
No, I would have done the same way I did it now.
Okay. So let's scrap that. So you would not do it for free, but you would prefer to charge like for better clients in that sense and learn that way.
Yes, yes,
Okay, okay, cool,
yes,
cool, cool. Yeah. So you've recently moved out as well, right?
yes.
I know you talked a little bit about how that has been a major shift for you, changing your environment, and it's probably one of the best decisions you made for yourself. So how did that happen? And like, was it circumstantial, or did you actually make the very conscious decision to do it?
It was a little bit of both. So ever since I graduated high school in 2019, I always knew I wanted to move out. It was like the very first thing I wanted to do. I just didn't have a really good relationship with my parents, and my home environment was never the healthiest. So I never felt safe, I guess you can say, at home. So when it came to moving out this time, I had moved out once before. Now, the situation there was I had gotten a roommate. Long story short, me and our the roommate's significant other didn't get along, and we just decided it'd be best to stop trying to make things work and just go our separate ways. So then I moved back home, and then again that just kind of made me want it even more because now I got a taste of it. I'm like, wow, it was so nice to have my own peace. Now I'm back here where everything just kind of makes me feel wrong, makes me feel weird. So this time moving in August was circumstantial in the sense where something happened in my home that it just wasn't great for my mental health anymore. And at the time, my priorities still are this, where I want to work on myself. I want to make myself a better person, and I can't do that if I'm constantly feeding myself negativity and all this drama. So I decided it was best to move as soon as possible rather than when it was the safest.
Right, right. And I guess it was a big leap of faith for you, right? Were you certain of what was going to happen next and things like that?
No, no,
Not at all,
I
right?
I wasn't. No, never.
So then, what made you confident in making that decision?
What made me confident into making the decision to move out? I think the confidence from that stemmed from just knowing, believing in that I have a bigger purpose, believing in the fact that I can achieve whatever I want to, so long as I have the will to continue. Like I said, I was prepared to, if all else failed, I was prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure it doesn't. I was prepared to not sleep if I didn't need to. Like I made the jump knowing all the risks and understanding that if everything for some reason did go really bad or did go left, that I had the certainty that I would find my way out of there. Like there was no other way that I wouldn't let myself fail.
Right. So your kind of confidence that you build it on was you knew that you find a way out of it regardless.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. I
Thank
think
you.
that's the key mindset difference between what makes an entrepreneur and what doesn't, right? Is that
Yeah.
we know we're always gonna find a way to make things work somehow.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, absolutely. So you've got all the
It's
little.
scary, man. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's such a huge leap and you don't know what's gonna happen. And heck, even if like even doing this for a job, like jumping from job to jobs is already uncertain enough. But here you're starting your own business, you're doing everything by
Right.
yourself, and
Yeah.
you don't know like where the next meal is gonna come from and whether you're gonna have incomes and things like that, right? So it's definitely a
Exactly.
huge leap, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that you did, and also the fact I just want to say that you're doing it so young, it's really remarkable. Most people your age
Thank
probably
you. I
wouldn't be
appreciate you.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, most people wouldn't be focusing on building themselves, building a business. Um, and I'm sure that do you feel like the journey you went through with your own fitness, did that play a part into working through all this? Into like playing into all this?
As in, did my own fitness journey play a part into me starting my business? Is that what you meant?
Yes, yes. And the
Yes.
kind of like mindset that you have towards it.
Yes, 100%. My fitness journey it kind of brought up a lot of things about myself that I didn't understand, a lot of insecurities. And it kind of showed me that I have a lot of passion. Whenever I do something, I do it with a lot of passion. Like, hence the name Passion Projects Coaching. I was at my job trying to figure out things like what to start a business, what words mean a lot to me. And like passion was the very first thing. And then Passion Project just kind of came together. It was very simple. Like I didn't really have like as soon as I heard it, I knew that would be my thing. So the fact that I was so passionate about my own journey and seeing it through to the end, no matter what, a little fat 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid wanting to get in shape, doing whatever he had to do, kind of played a part in how I am now, where not, it's there's no will in me to quit. I just won't quit no matter what it is. I will fall. I will make so many mistakes, and I'm okay to accept that. But what I will not accept for myself is just quitting, because I know if I can just stand up, take another step, even if it's crawling, that I'm eventually going to make it to my journey. And that's the same thing to my goal. Sorry. That's the same thing with my fitness journey. If you can just show up one more day, you are eventually going to make it to where you want to be.
Right. Yes. So absolutely, man. I think as people who've gone through fitness themselves, right, and who've had a fitness journey, I think they have a little bit of a leg up this way, right, because they're able to apply that as well. I think so that's something a lot of us forget to do, right? We
Yes.
had the transformation first, and then we kind of like did this as well. So sometimes it's not
Right.
always easy to marry the two. Is this? Do you always remind yourself of this, or when things are going, is this something you tell yourself like I've already done this, I've conquered this, I'm sure I can do it again, things like that. Does that go through your
Oh
head?
man. See, it does, AJ, but like when I'm very emotional, and sometimes I forget. And that's the scary thing, that sometimes I think I was in such a bad place that I've like disassociated a little bit. And there's times where I just don't remember who I was. Like I just, how I, the conversations I used to have, the things I used to do. I used to, I just don't remember some of them, which is kind of scary if you think about it, because
Right,
that's not that long ago. That's like 3 years ago, 2 years
right,
ago, something like
right.
that. And I think it's just because it was so rough. It was a very rough period in my life where my brain is kind of just like shut that part off for the
Mm-hmm.
better. But
Mm-hmm.
there are parts that I still do remember. Like for example, when I started my fitness journey, I still remember all the pains I was feeling, and why I decided to start. And I feel like that's very important to remind myself, because when I feel like shit, I'm not doing enough, AJ, like what could I be doing more? Sometimes it's very nice to just relax and look back a few years and see where I was at and be like, you're gonna be just fine. Like you've made it this far. What's another 2, 3, 4 years? What's another year? What's another day? You're gonna be okay. And that's again, that's where I find the confidence, the certainty, and that I will get to where I want to be.
That's wonderful. I think that's something
Thank you.
like of massive value here that people who are watching this can see, right? It's this constant reminder that you've been through all this stuff already, right? You're gonna be okay. I think that comes through a
Yeah.
lot in your journey as well, and what you've been saying. You're talking about how you've been through so many uncertainties from what it sounds like, and you've been able to overcome them simply by trusting yourself and then knowing that you find a way out of it.
Yes.
Gotta
You hit
absolutely
that
respect and salute
spot
you.
on. You hit that spot on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Gotta really respect you for that.
Thank
Totally.
you. I
Hats off
appreciate
to
you,
you, bro.
AJ. Thank you. I
How do you
appreciate
feel
it.
your life is different now? After you've done your business and stuff like that.
I'm
After
happy.
happy.
I would say, yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference, man. Like I'm happy. Like I'm whatever happens at this point, I'm happy. If I lose money, if I make more money, it's just once you find happiness, I feel like it's kind of really hard to lose it, because at least for me, I'll speak for myself, I don't attach it to a certain thing I have, or I don't attach it to a certain amount of income, or even my business. I just do things that make me happy. And at this point in my life right now, what makes me really happy is being a good person, running a business, helping people get in shape, making money. All of those things make me happy, right? But they just kind of amplify what I'm already feeling. I'm already happy, and just doing those, just like I'm living the life. You know what I
Right.
mean? And things
Okay.
things can always get worse or better, but you just have to accept them as they come. Just kind of like letting go of life, if that makes sense. It's just so enjoyable,
Yeah,
you know?
because you mentioned the biggest lesson you've learned is not to have any expectations, to let go of those expectations, right? And yeah,
Yes.
you're just doing things like doing it without thinking about like what's gonna happen next, how what am I gonna get out of this and stuff, and that makes you happy in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're here, you're right there, right? You hit it right there. I'm living the life. This is something I tell myself often as well, right? Even when
Yeah.
things don't always look the best, I'm like, I stop and just take a little I just do a little spot check. No, is that the word spot
Yeah.
check? I just do a
Reality check.
reality check. Yeah, that's right, right?
Yeah.
About like what's going on. I look at myself versus for my peers or even my parents or siblings and stuff like that, right? I just tell myself, dude, I'm living the fucking life, man. I'm just so amazed
Yeah.
at where I am right now.
That's
And
fucking awesome, man.
yeah, the
That's awesome.
gratitude for that, right? So
Yeah.
absolutely what you said there really resonates with me as well. So
Yeah.
thanks for saying, thanks for
Awesome. I
sharing.
love that. Yeah, of course, man. And like I said, like that doesn't mean I don't get sad. It's just and I still very much experience that. But again, it's just kind of like I said, it's gonna pass. So you just let yourself feel it, then get back to normal. You're all good, man. Like so it happens. That's life. That's what we're meant to experience. And I think, and this is something again, like I learned from my mentor, my current mentor, just kind of not taking life so seriously. That doesn't mean don't work towards your goals.
Right.
It just means just take it day by day. Stop looking at everything in such the long term, because that takes so much enjoyment away from what you have right now. You could have just signed, let's say, 6 clients, made an extra $1,000 for the month, but you're like, oh shit, but it's not $10,000 a month, and then you just made an extra $1,000 in a day. Like it's all perspective. Like it's a very big in perspective.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, the smile when you said that and you described it, I can understand where your happiness comes from for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and like I hope whoever's watching this can kind of find it as well, because I didn't. I used to attach happiness to a certain thing. Like once I get this, I'm gonna be happy. Once I get this, I'm gonna be happy. And then I didn't know. I didn't know any better. I was until somebody put it in a perspective for me, which I'm hoping somebody can take away value from your episode and take perspective away from your podcast, is like putting things into perspective and realizing you can be happy right now if you want to. You just have to make the decision that it doesn't warrant. You don't have to have anything to have happiness, if that makes sense. It's already there. You just pull it out.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
man. That's wonderful. Um, is there a way that you structure your things now? Is there a way you structure the way you approach business right now?
Actually, yes. So usually, and I'll kind of give you a quick overview of what I was doing like the last few months, and it just up until yesterday, I started doing things a little bit differently. So, um, what I would do is I'm very routine based, and I'm very disciplined. I'll give myself a little credit where I can, but I will also call myself out on the things I know I need to be doing better. So one of the things I do really well at is just being very disciplined. If you tell me, Anthony, these are the things you have to do today, X, Y, Z, I will do X, Y, and Z. But sometimes that's not the best thing. Sometimes as a business owner, you need to let yourself get creative and just think and be bored and experience things that aren't just work. So I think where I personally need to improve, which is why I said the last 2 days I've been doing something a little differently, is just kind of going based on feel. Maybe not thinking, okay, this day I want to make a post about this fitness topic, but instead, maybe today I want to show people what my life consists of, which is why I asked to film a little snippet of it, because I want to show people what my life is like. And that's just something that I felt like doing today. So kind of leaning more off of that masculine side of things and going more into the feminine side of things, getting creative, letting myself experience and feel and just think a little more.
Right, right. So that's kind of how you structure things differently now. You just go a little bit more with your gut feeling or what you feel should be right, and not try to focus so much on SOPs, the way you work things, and structures and scripts and stuff like that.
Yes, at least for the last 2 days. And I'm gonna continue to do this for at least a week, and then just kind of see how I feel. Obviously, like I would rather feel great doing this than feel miserable and tired doing something I don't enjoy.
Yeah, right, right, right. And absolutely, I totally hear you there, right? This little alternating thing that you're doing right here, it sounds like it's very helpful for balance and then making yourself feel good about the stuff that you do. And I think that's super important because if, like you said, right, we are miserable in just following the scripts that we're supposed to follow, and if that makes us feel miserable, then we're gonna burn out super fast, and before you know it, you start hating your business, and that happiness they talked about, it just goes away, right? Right? Why did we
Yeah,
become business owners to feel miserable, right? Why did we do that,
exactly.
right? So
And I think that's just something due to hustle culture, man. And I feel like I've been there. Like I've associated working more with getting more. When on paper, yeah, you work 16, 18-hour days, there's the potential for you signing extra client, maybe making more money, but at what cost? Like and you do that for a week, right? By the end of the week, you're so exhausted. You look at your significant other, and then they're like, you look so tired. And you're just like, yeah, I'm just like here working, like grinding my ass off. And you're just not happy. You kind of lose the reason you started this in the first place.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I love how actually it's amazing how we were supposed to. I suppose when we decided to do this, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about the technical aspects as well. But it's amazing how we've shifted so much into mindset, and I think that comes through in your journey as well. How that mindset kind of like translated into everything else and the growth that you've had so far. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful that we're talking about these things because once we get the mindset right, everything else kind of like follows from there. So that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
100%. 100%. I agree. And like I said, I feel like in my opinion, if you want to have a really successful person, you've got person. If you want to have a really successful business, you must take care of yourself and grow as a person. If you're not growing as a person, your business isn't going to grow.
Right, because you are your business, right? So if you're not growing, your
Exactly.
business is not
Literally.
growing. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Literally.
100%. And I think it took me a while to realize this, but a lot of people who have we have personal issues and that kind of like translates into business, right? It directly translates into it. Like if you're not consistent, your business is not consistent. If you're very negative, your business is very negative in the way you talk to your
Yeah.
clients,
Yeah.
things like that, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely 100% we got to work on our mindsets first before everything else. And I think you're in an amazing space right now, man. The kind of energy that you have, the vibes you're giving off, the balance you're trying to find here, it's wonderful. And I think
Thank you.
it's a testament to the journey you've been on. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching and listening to this as well, they probably can see that as well. I
Thank
love
you.
how you're not the typical like hustle kind of like guy, like let's just do this, go pump it out, that kind of stuff. And how you're
Yeah.
working this space and trying to find that balance there. I think
Yeah.
a lot of fitness professionals, a lot of entrepreneurs even can totally relate to this. I think as in general, running a business isn't the same as it was maybe 10 years ago now, right? The world is a different
Right.
space. So we kind of gotta find that
Yeah.
balance that you're working on right there. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that. And I hope, like you said, whoever is listening to this does find some value in that and maybe just makes them a happier person. You know,
Absolutely.
that's
So
awesome. Yeah.
if right, so for whoever's listening to this and or watching this, right, what do you think if they forget everything in this whole chat that we've just had, right? If they forget everything, what's the one thing you think they could take away from this?
It's do what makes you happy every single day. So you have a choice. Every single day you wake up, choose to do what makes you happy. And then secondly, trust yourself. Whatever decision you think is wrong, whatever decision you think is right in your shoes, trust yourself. If something is right for you, your intuition, your gut will know, take that decision. If something is wrong for you, your intuition will know. Trust that decision. Right? Because a lot of times we have comments, we have feedback from X person, people's opinions, and it just kind of skews everything up when in the first place you kind of know what you want, which is again kind of like a testament to why most people don't start their journeys. Most people don't start their business. What is this person going to think of me? What if this person sees me in the gym and judges me? Like it's a lot of fear before even starting. So I think it would just be choose to do what makes you happy on a daily basis. And secondly, trust yourself.
Okay, so that's the biggest takeaway, right? So be able to trust your gut instinct and not worry about what other people say about you. Ignore all their comments
Yes.
and just follow what you think is what you know in your gut to be the right thing to do.
Yes, exactly. Do what makes you happy. Be a
Yes.
happy
Do what
person.
makes you
Yeah,
happy. Do what makes you happy, people.
exactly. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, cool. Yeah, I think we've had a really fantastic chat, right? I really love
Yeah, I
the
agree.
vibes that that you've been like showing off here, and I think like there's a lot of sync between the way we think as well. So it's been a really
Yeah.
good chat, and I think I'm 100% sure, 1,000% sure that lots of people are gonna find value from this. I think this is
Thank
also
you,
why I
AJ. I
wanted to
appreciate
do this, right? Because I know that especially from seeing your journey, I knew that you had a lot to share, right? And a
it.
lot of
Thank you.
people resonate and relate to where you're at right now as well. So thank you so much for sharing the stuff that you did. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate
Of
you being
course.
vulnerable and sharing your journey as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. You were a wonderful host. Like you've made my first experience on like an interview like so amazing. Like this was so much fun, genuinely. And like I didn't know what to expect, but this is amazing. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I had lots of fun too. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to add or say before we kind of like end it?
No, I mean, honestly, like I don't know how these things work, but I hope everybody is having an amazing day and continues to have an amazing day. If I had to say something, that would be it.
Right, different time zones, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Daytime,
yeah,
daytime for me is
exactly.
nighttime for you, so I
It's
kind of
morning for you. Yeah,
yeah, I can see the sun setting as well. So,
yeah.
so yes, thank you everybody for listening, and I really hope that you guys found this helpful. I know I have, and I'm pretty sure that you guys can take away some value from this. So Coach Ant, you have a couple of socials, right? And
Yes.
if do you have like a particular Instagram handle that you're using right now that you want people to reach out to if they want to ask some
Uh,
questions?
yeah, sure. So my Instagram handle is at Anthony Rivxra. My Facebook is just Anthony Rivera, but I'm sure there's 1,000 of them, so I wouldn't really know the best way to find them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, but that's my Instagram handle.
Yeah, lots of Anthony's in the world, right? Yeah,
Too
no,
many.
no worries. I'll drop the links in the descriptions and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to reach out, feel free to do so.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, and thank you, Anthony. Thanks,
Yeah,
Coach
of course,
Ant.
my friend. Of
It was
course.
really
Thank you
good
so
having
much
you
for
here.
having me on. Yeah, of course, man. Thank you.